Hey guys, welcome back to another Attachment Point News Roundtable. I got Dave McFarland and Coterie on here, who's been making some really cool big things happen, and appreciate being around the group. And I apologize for butchering the last name on the Insurance Guys podcast, but I got it dialed in this time. I was scared.
No,
How you
no
doing
worries.
today?
Doing well. Doing well. How you doing, Brett?
Doing good, doing good. So we're recording this March 2nd. I think it might take me like a week to get it up, but congrats on the round. I wanted to mention it just to kind of have like the timeline there. You got a lot of people believing you and backing you and giving you those
Yeah.
little dollar soldiers to make things happen. Yeah,
It was a good round. We brought in some good investors and had some good interest from our existing group too. So happy to get it behind us.
that's cool. No, it's tough. I mean, Fineo is the only kind of venture-backed startup I've sort of hung out with. I know Lance already had a couple, arrows in the quiver when I showed up. It's tough, kind of pitching the dream, getting people to buy in. I've been around a few VC calls. Um, I think they grind you because they know the world's going to grind you. They're
Yeah.
not just like trying to hand out money. Apparently, you got to earn it a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. The having at least some barriers to entry where, capital isn't just flowing left and right is actually fairly good for the system. And also it definitely helps build your mettle and test your grit. So
Yeah.
thankful for it on the other end. Not so
Yeah.
much when you're going through it.
If the capital flows too easy, you end up with like a Quibi, and then that's the
Oh,
little 8 minute TV shows.
oh golly.
Yeah.
That was a very quick bust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you guys, I mean, for as long as I've known you and been around the conversation, I think you're doing it right. I think people are open to a few different angles these days. You're going to get insurance deployed where people need it, when people need it. And I kind of make the joke that agents need to become like the monsters they're scared of. I think that API capability is really going to help, people like myself do things quicker, get products out there. Yeah, I think you guys have been on it from the jump.
Yeah, the key is just like it's efficient risk transfer. We want to make this whole process easy for everyone. One of the ways that we do it is we hook into the systems that these small businesses run on. Yes, so that we can meet them there, but simultaneously so that we can equip the agents and brokers out there to utilize that information to make the whole risk transfer process quicker. Because the fact is like you as an agent or a broker, like you don't want to go and find out how far away they are from a fire hydrant. You don't want to find out really their revenue or their payroll. Like it'd be so much easier if the carrier was connected into everything that the small businesses ran on, so you could push a button and it's all there. Right? And that's our vision for the future.
Yeah, 100%. And I can say, having been in the system, kind of kick the tires on it a little, you pull the data forward. I make this analogy, and I don't know if it's totally a fair one because Hippo is written on really good paper. You guys are written on good paper. These are well-rounded products. But when I get a call and I'm in the weeds, I'm not going to Chubb or Pure or something to do like involved quote. I'm going to Hippo, which I know there's going to be a fair rebuild value. I know it's going to be a good product. I know they're going to pull in the relevant data, and I can get back to the 5 things I'm trying to do before people get mad at me. I think
That's right.
for you guys to intuit that data is really cool. And you guys recently launched for agents too, I believe. I know there was the beta kind of taken on for a while, but now doors are open, ready to work with, smaller guys like myself.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we launched in the agency and brokerage channel about a month ago, and we've gotten a really good reception there. I mean, no surprise. I mean, today in the agent and broker channel, small business is an obligation instead of an opportunity, and it's because like the legacy insurance world has essentially copied and pasted middle market onto small commercial, and you're going to run the exact same underwriting process as a $25,000 to $50,000 policy as a $2,500 policy.
I didn't think about that, but that makes sense. When I think about the frame of the building, the wiring, the foundation, whatever else.
Well, I mean, why would the legacy carrier invest in a totally different flow for small commercial? It's tiny. Any money they put into it is just going to be a waste, especially if you go back 10 to 15 years. So they're not really as interested in improving it. They're just like, this works. We don't really care about it. But it's a nightmare for agents, right? Like you're going to spend 4 days on a policy that's going to make you, $20 to $50, right?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And I work in small commercial, and I say that just as on the upside is we get 100% of the commission. My overhead
Yep.
is nothing, so what seems like pennies to other people, to us is like, it's pretty cool and we
Yep.
enjoy it. And like, there are actual relationships, and
Yep.
we know the guy who's printing on the bags, and he's not even printing them here. They're printing them in India or China,
Yep.
who's selling them to local grocery stores. And us, that's a contact. It's not
Yep.
a nuisance. That's $1,500 to our bottom line.
Exactly.
It's pretty
Exactly.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of us out there. People always champion like the IA channel, like the little guys.
Yep.
And I still swear, like, some direct to consumer I do think is helpful and people are going to need it. And it's really cool when the agents can set it up.
Mm-hmm.
But people don't want to work on insurance. You have to drag people through these policies and paperwork and bug them. This is Ed's first time selling. I'm like, dude, they don't care. I'm like, and this is, I don't know if this is a PC. I will say the attractive individual at the bar. Right now, we're the goofy individual trying to get the attractive individual. He's worked at big places before where they were the attractive individual and people were trying to get to them. I'm like, we have, dignity was not invited to the party. When you're a new guy, when you're scrapping and selling, like,
Yep.
you have to be mindful. You can't call them every day. Sometimes you have to take 2 weeks, but
Mm-hmm.
it's on us to make things happen.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that's really cool. But no, I've enjoyed it, and yeah, it's interesting. And then we were joking around. Thank you for you guys being open. This is unofficial. We won't totally break it here, but thank you for being open to working with one of my projects. I appreciate you guys being really cool and just
Yeah.
game to connect with people, connect with companies, deploy technology.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of opportunity to improve, especially in the small commercial space,
Mm-hmm.
where we can utilize technology to make things extremely efficient. Not only on the new business conversion side, but also on that ongoing
Mm-hmm.
servicing side. And that's one of the reasons I'm particularly excited about working with Purple Ant and what they're doing over there.
Cool. Yeah. So you got Purple Ant. I mean, and you guys are open. Like, I've seen you guys deploy a few different places, and then
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's not the world's biggest secret that we're working on the CRM AMS a little bit. You may have been open there. I just think that openness and connectivity and no one group trying to do everything now is the way things are going to be going forward. We can integrate systems and make things helpful.
Exactly.
And I think that's just so key and clutch. Um, yeah. So how long have you guys been working on Coterie for?
I started Coterie officially in September of 2018, so a little over, are coming up on 2.5 years right now. Yeah, that's right. We started off, I think, like most people do, just scrappy and trying to create our own momentum. Thankfully, got going a little bit. We've been writing policies. It was late. It was about a year after we officially started, so September of 2019. Started off with the general liability policy. It was the most simple one to kick off, and sold that through non-traditional partners. We built originally for non-traditional partners with the full intention of going the agent and broker route, but we saw that it didn't really work well if you just built for a normal annual type of policy channel and then try to do something backwards to the non-traditional side. So you actually, if you wanted to make it work, then you had to build something yourself. You had to go away from the Duck Creeks and Guidewires. You had to build the stack yourself to where you could do something more flexible and then kind of fit it into the agent and broker channel. And so that's what we did. We tried to do it earlier and failed miserably. And then we stepped back, created a product that was specifically for them and relaunched. Hence, thanks again for being a beta tester for that.
Yeah, no, totally. But it makes sense. You kind of have to go from the unstructured to the structure, then vice versa. No, it's really cool. I didn't realize that. And then, for myself, to stay kind of like an authentic voice as much as I can be, Cover Wallet, I've been a client, I've sold it, got no equity, I don't get any sponsorship money. Although I did offer Kyle, I emailed him when I started my podcast. I'm like, hey, Kyle, you want to sponsor my crappy podcast? I'm in California. I think I get 40 downloads an episode. He politely forwarded to marketing, which there may have been crickets, but I appreciate it. I responded to the email.
Yeah.
I sent it off half jokingly.
Clear Cover or Cover Wallet?
Sorry, Clear Cover.
Clear Cover. Yeah. No, you're good. You're good. Yeah. Kyle's fantastic. So when he has just been super supportive of us. So for those who don't know, I was chief actuary and head of insurance product at Clear Cover before I started Coterie. And he was just so helpful in the transition process. I can't sing his praises enough. It was really fun starting clear cover with him. He's super smart, thoughtful guy.
He's cool. And even like the
Yeah.
single guys had nice things to say about him. Even I'm trying to think out of Texas, the one that just launched the auto company Loop. They had good things to say. Like, I'm a big fan of people who keep this blue ocean mindset in insurance because we're not going to run out of customers.
No.
There's plenty of people that need protection.
Yeah.
And speaking of accidentally saying CoverWall, not to pick on anybody, but I always feel like it's us little guys versus like the RJ Gallagher's and the Aons. I'm like, we don't really need to beat up each other. There's big old whales out there that, if we grow, then maybe there's a fight, but there's plenty of business for us little guys.
It is a massive market. I mean, just in the commercial space, you're looking at the aggregate commercial space in the United States is around 300 billion. And even if you just like narrow it down to, small commercial sans workers comp, it's 50 billion just right now. And that doesn't assume for the fact that 50% of small business owners are probably not appropriately insured. So there's probably probably another 50 billion sitting on that hasn't been tapped into just in the small commercial market, not to mention the workers comp and whatnot. So there's a lot of opportunity.
Well, even EPLI here in California, Sue Happy California, people don't realize how exposed they are sometimes, even at the smallest level. And just to double down on like the importance of small business sales and why it can matter. Like, I came from an office moving world where sometimes I had to run like a household appointment where I'd make $60 once and I had to write up an order, keep track of a crew. It sucked, but it was sort of part of the job. So if I have an insurance policy where maybe I make 125, maybe I make 150, but I get it every year and it compounds and it adds value to the bottom line of my agency, like that $150 is annuity, and it's actually minimum $450 to the value of my whole business. Like, these things matter, it's not transactional, it's accumulation over time and get rich slow, so it's cool, and, being an American, it's funny working with a Canadian startup. I get nervous about making war analogies now, but usually the people with the best technology win, that was my first thought when everyone was scared of InsurTech. I'm like, well, the guys, unless you have a lot of people throw at something,
Yeah. I agree. Like, it's technology. It is going to help these processes. Like, you've got to step into the fact that like the same old way of doing things is not, it's not necessarily wrong, but we can improve the efficiency of it drastically. And I think there's always going to be a space for the agent and broker, and totally. I don't think InsurTech, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but I don't think InsurTech needs to focus on eliminating agent and brokers, because it's good. It's a social good that people are these educated people who have a fiduciary responsibility to helping people get the right coverage. That's a good thing, right? It saves time for everyone, right? And so if we can use technology to assist the agent and brokers to make what they do extremely efficient, where they are focused essentially on coverage recommendation and building relationships. That's what they should do. They shouldn't be about data entry. We, using tech, can be about the data entry part.
Now, you're describing where I think the world's going to go, where we become almost more like marketing reps. And the other thing I kind of champion or the idea is the agent being able to put up guardrails for their own kind of enabled D2C. I don't want anybody to buy below 50 or 150 without talking to somebody and knowing what they're purchasing.
That's right.
As a quasi slightly libertarian person, do I want to say they can't? No. But do I want them to be informed? Heck yeah.
Absolutely.
Want to make sure it's good business. But yeah, we're going to be marketing reps in the future. We're going to capture data easier. It's going to get processed automatically. We might tune a few things, deliver the quote to the client, and then hopefully that information just pops right back in our system and we can keep working, keep moving. It's a volume thing. It's no different than, watching the founder, like McDonald's designing their burger flow being easy, It's no different than that. And I don't fault the behemoths for not changing. I reference this kind of a lot, but Farmers is going to make more money on interest than like most companies could ever like dream of. So I understand them not wanting to disrupt themselves, but I do applaud them setting up something like Toggle, which is like a separate stack working on different products. I think they're going to have to try to like balance and eventually replace themselves, but I understand why they're not It's sort of like if you had a restaurant that was killing it every night, you wouldn't shut down the restaurant to redo it. You
Yeah.
might just go start a different restaurant. You know,
That's exactly right. Like the
yeah,
opportunity cost is so high for them, right? Like, why are they going to focus on restructuring this small thing and potentially ruin the giant ship that it is? Like, it doesn't make sense. They'd rather, it's a crude analogy, but watch the other, new entrants kind of fight for it,
dude.
wait for one of them to pop up,
Yep,
and then they're gonna
yep,
acquire. And
totally.
you can't fault them for that.
That had been the case for the past handful of years, and then when I feel like when Hippo bought Spinnaker, or there's a few other transactions that happened, I was like, oh, the world changed. Like,
There you go.
oh, the snake is eating its tail kind of thing. Like it was kind of
Yeah.
interesting. And that was when I felt like it all became kind of one thing to a degree.
Hmm.
Like I don't even think of InsurTech anymore or insurance. I just think of using technology well and trying to find the best tool in a given moment to meet the need that you have in front of you.
Yeah.
You know,
That's exactly right.
but
We're here to use tech to push the insurance space forward, and it's the
exactly.
insurance space, right?
Yeah.
It's not like this thing exists on its own. Like, no, we are all together pushing this space forward.
Totally. And, we're tinkering. It's more of a bootstrap project, but our own little CRM AMS. We're trying to take care of the new agents, the aviation, the marine guys. No secret. Like, nobody
Yeah,
ever builds things for these people. And I think it's really cool that you're working on something for a little insurance guy, too. Like, you know, that's where the opportunities lie. You want to change something, kind of go where people aren't interested.
yep, yep.
Yeah,
Do the unsexy things. That's right.
totally. All right. I think we've been good and we've stayed on insurance for long enough right now. And we were nerding out about basketball before this turned on.
Yep.
And we should give a shout out to Lance too for the poker game connecting us. It's so
Oh
funny
yeah,
how like these little extracurriculars, my Strava running group, like how in the era of COVID, like these little digital meetings have happened have actually been pretty helpful for startups. It's cool, you know.
yeah. That's exactly right. I feel like I got connected to more people over the year of COVID than I probably normally do. That
Yeah,
through the poker games, to like just like little happy hours and stuff like that, all hosted virtually. Yeah, that's a good point.
it is interesting though. It kind of broke our neighborhood for me. Like being an outside sales guy who grew up in LA County, I could always argue for Southern California because it's like hour San Diego, hour to LA, 4 hours to Vegas, hour flight to SF, and just the $13 trillion of commerce in greater LA.
Yeah,
But this thing kind of put me on my head a little bit. I feel less location based than I used to,
yeah.
even
Uh,
as a traditional sales guy. Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
It's been yeah. It's kind of nice how this is. I'm not saying that COVID was nice, but like
It,
what has at least happened has accelerated things to the point where it
yeah.
challenged a lot of our assumptions. Like, oh no, we can do this.
You got to
And
look for your silver linings,
yeah,
and too many people were potentially living on planes before, kind of unhealthy lifestyles for, not the most beneficial reasons.
yeah, yeah.
But
My wife is thrilled that I'm home more and not
cool.
traveling all the time.
Yeah. And I do think there's something to the in person. Like, I think that hybrid approach, a couple days in, a couple days out of office would be
Yep.
key. I think fully remote's totally fine, but there's something to relationship building, hashing through things that Zoom's helpful and works, but
Yeah.
I think in person's even another level.
I I agree. It's nice to get with the team to collaborate. You can tell like we have a fairly remote office environment at Coterie, where we have people in California, New York, et cetera. We have a main base here in the Midwest, but the people who are out on the coasts and whatnot, they're so like, oh, I want to see the team. I want to
Yeah.
get together.
No,
they're eager to see everyone again.
so Fineo's been kind enough to fly me up there twice, once for initial meeting and once was we're kind of rolling. And it's
Nice.
just cool meeting in person. And even that though, before COVID, I was like the only person on a laptop in a meeting, and then I like you kind of feel more ingrained with everybody.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So it's different. Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. No, but we were talking a little bit before we kind of hit record about basketball, and I was joking that it's like the perfect sport to kind of build a sales guy or an entrepreneur, because like you're one on one, you're like literally going after this person, they're coming after you, but you're also working with a team, and
Hmm.
it is going to get chippy at times. Like there are people who did not like me, who probably still don't like me, that I've never really met off the court. Like there was one guy I ran into, big athletic guy, and like I was hanging out with him at 4th of July party. He's like, "Man, we hated you. I can't believe you're such a nice guy." Like, but we used to play against each other in the men's league. He's like, "We did not like you." I was like, "Yeah, sorry."
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, basketball, it definitely tests you. It's one of those, like you said it right. Like you have to be focused on the one-on-one, but you also have to be holistically aware of everything else that's going around you. If you want to play well, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was always like,
go ahead.
oh no, I was always like a 7th man, like a scrapper. Like I always love like frustrating the starters during practice or coming off the bench and trying to just get things going for a quick second. You know, I think that has sort of played a role in my, like, I'll call it, you know, contributor kind of mindset. I don't necessarily need to be like the guy. I actually kind of almost don't even want, I don't want to really be in charge of anybody, but that's a different topic. But just come in, contribute, push the ball forward, you know.
Shane Battier style.
A little bit, yeah. I would say Manu Ginobili. I used to joke that I've modeled my game after Manu, you know.
I love Manu Ginobili. I still remember when he caught the bat. Are you familiar with that?
No.
So, like, I think it was at Spurs Stadium. A bat was in the stadium and it was flying around, and he basically, like, it interrupted the game, obviously.
That's awesome.
And he's just out there on the floor, and he caught a bat with his hands. Like, I didn't know that was actually possible.
So funny.
But he did it. He's fascinating.
I love the Tony Parker story where they were like grinding the heat down, and like LeBron like collapsed in the gym, like it didn't have air conditioning or whatever. And Tony Parker's like, "No, this was like growing up in France. We never had air conditioning." It's just like it's hot. So you know,
a little different than Cleveland, right?
Yeah. No, it's so good. No, I don't know. I love it, and I don't know, it's interesting, but yeah, we definitely nerded out about hoops before, but yeah, I'm excited for you and the team. I think you guys are doing some really interesting work. Like, I appreciate your openness to working with different types of players and still remembering like the guys who've sold stuff before are going to know how to sell insurance again. You know, they're not going anywhere. What I think is really smart about what you're doing, there's a good quote, I forget who said it, but like the future is now, but it's not equally distributed. So kind of playing with the super tech forward guys, playing the guys in the middle, and then still setting up a platform that's going to be straightforward and inviting the traditional players, you know? So just kind of meet people where they are and enable them. I think you guys are doing it right. It's cool.
That's exactly, yeah, you said it right. Meet people where they are and enable them.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. I appreciate it. But we'll have to do a follow-up episode before too long. But, you know, congratulations again on the round, and looking forward to seeing the trouble you caused with it.
Yeah. Thanks, Brett.
Absolutely. Guys. Thanks.
Later.